Go. Okay, so we're back again with another episode of Sundays with Suraj, and we have Rishi Pawan here.
Hi guys.
Hi guys. He's the artist who I met in the Flea Affair. That's
Yeah.
where I first met him, and if you remember, I purchased. Did you
Dragon Ball
remember
Z.
what I purchased?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, my man. It was so fucking lit, especially because it had Vegeta. I
Yeah.
took it only because it had Vegeta.
That was like, at root when I was in 12th grade.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so if you go to my Facebook profile, you'll still see that as a cover photo.
Nice, man. DBZ for life.
Yeah, like DBZ was the thing that got me into drawing and stuff. Like I started drawing characters once I started watching DBZ.
Who was your favorite character?
Vegeta, obviously.
God damn, yes.
Then it was Gohan next because Gohan was like, the innocent guy.
Uh-huh.
I watched him grow up as a kid. Yeah, then like even Piccolo was like really good.
Really good.
Yeah, but Goku is a little overrated. But yeah, he's good too.
I mean, he's the strongest. He's good too.
Yeah,
That's an undersell.
I mean like Goku is too pure. You can't relate to him. Like I think I'm a little impure from inside. I have some-
I think that's why we love Vegeta.
Yeah, you can relate to Vegeta. Vegeta is the shit. I was having this conversation with someone before, and yeah.
That Vegeta is the shit.
Yeah, that's what, like, I've spoken to like many people, like, Dragon Ball Z was a shit when I was in school, and a lot of people used to love Vegeta more than Goku.
Oh, back then, my friends, even I loved Goku, man. But over the period of time, it hit me that I fucking love Vegeta way more than Goku.
So it's like, I used to like Vegeta since the beginning, but later on I started liking Goku a little bit, I
Okay.
started- once I started watching the entire Dragon Ball Z series again and again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since I watched it.
Have you watched the Super series?
No.
No?
No.
Bro, you're missing out, man. There's this Jiren karke ek villain.
Yeah, I heard about
Fucking-
him. He's like the strongest guy or something weird.
Yeah. Vegeta goes and fucks him up. Like, nobody will think Vegeta can do it.
Oh,
He
wait,
gets his
like,
pride out.
That's because he hits Bulma or something, right?
No, that is Beerus.
Oh, alright.
That's the god of destruction.
Alright.
Same. But like this guy's stronger than Beerus, apparently.
Shit.
And Goku reaches a level which Beerus does not reach or hasn't mastered. So that's some shit you have to watch, bro. It's really interesting.
You can see the dynamic, right? Like, some guy comes who is stronger. Like, Goku practices, trains, and he goes, like, even more stronger than him. Some other guy comes again. It's like that. always.
The entire reason Saiyans are like strong is because their power doesn't end. Through all, like, the tougher it gets, the more chances for them to outgrow the power. Like, if you go watch, have you seen Broly movie?
Yeah, I did. Like, the original one, right?
Old one or the latest?
The old one.
Anyway, same story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every time he would get beaten up, he would become like ultra strong,
Uh-huh.
come back, and at the end of the day, they didn't beat him. He just gets tired,
Yeah.
and then he stops.
Yeah.
Like, Saiyans are known for that, bro. They don't end. They
Yeah,
just keep
once-
fighting.
Once they near death, it's like their strength becomes 1.5 times or something. Right?
That I don't know. But it's some cool shit, man.
That was like mentioned in the Frieza saga. I guess.
Okay. Frieza Saga's old.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
watched
old.
it as a kid. I watched it in Telugu.
Oh, shit. I can't relate.
I was in 6th class.
Oh, God. I think I watched it in Hindi.
Oh damn.
I don't know, man. I think it was coming on what? CN only. CN or Jetix?
Yeah. CN, not Jetix. So.
CN, nice. But nice, man. Good to know that, your artist journey began there.
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of people, like, they started their thing with Dragon Ball Z. And it was like, we all used to sit down and draw Dragon Ball Z like all the time.
Even I did, dude. Even I did.
I had this, PlayStation, and I had this game called Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi.
Uh-huh.
I used to put that in, like, once I get to the part where I have to select the character, right? There used to be a cool montage of all the characters coming in
Okay.
and stuff. So I used to pause that and draw it, like, you know.
Wow. That I didn't know.
Yeah. And we had friends coming in, like me and a friend of mine, both of us had PlayStation, so we used to have multiple controllers,
Uh-huh.
and all four of us, like, you know, we would play Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
In my school time, we would play Dragon Ball Z with fucking hand too, dude. We
Oh,
taught
yeah.
me to this shit.
That was the original Nick.
Insane
Exactly.
stuff, bro. Insane stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, when did you understand that, you know, you wanted to get into art?
Okay, like, I'll start off with a story which I've told a couple of people, but you know, as a kid I told people, but no one actually believed it.
Interesting. Then I'm
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, but you know, I don't even expect people or anyone who's watching this to believe it, because you know, yeah, that's how it is. Like, you know, that's not something I would.
You
gain
would
anything
believe.
from.
If somebody told you that's not something, you would believe yourself.
I guess maybe, but maybe because I've experienced that, maybe I would believe. But again, it's like you know, it goes back to the time when I was 6 months old. So I was just like, you know, I was on the bed. So my mom had to go outside somewhere. So she was writing something on a book, and she put a couple of books as a fence so that I don't fall off.
Okay.
So this one book which had a cover of an cow.
Okay.
So then there was this book, so I started like drawing something vaguely which represented it, which resembled it, and my mom was shocked as fuck. She came, like, you know, she showed it to a doctor. There was a doctor, you know, neighbor of us. Like he was shocked too, and you know, he told my mom to start teaching me as soon as possible, and shit
Uh-huh.
like that. So she was a biology student.
Okay.
So she had like shitload of records where she had to draw.
Uh-huh.
So she developed a skill like that. And by the time I was 2 years old, right, she started teaching me how to draw.
Okay.
Like I still remember the memory where, like, you know, she gave me a sharpener pencil and she was like, you know, this is a pencil, this is a sharpener. This is how you sharpen a
Nice.
pencil and stuff like that. The sharpener was purple in color.
Okay.
I still
That's some
remember.
good detail.
Yeah. And it was an Atlas pencil, and you know, there was an eraser. So you know, this is how you erase it. Like, that was a breakthrough. Like, fuck this up.
Never ever seen before.
Yeah. Then I started drawing. Then, like, you know, I was joined in nursery like when I was 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't speak to anyone. I was
Okay.
a big introvert back then.
Wait, when do people join nursery?
3 years old.
Okay.
Like, you know, my mom got a little worried, like, you know, this guy doesn't speak to anyone, he's not playing with anyone, what the fuck is wrong with him? So she just, you know, put me in a school, like, you know.
Just put him around people to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's how it started. Like, then I started drawing, like, and I joined in HPS, like, in LKG. So
Okay.
there was this one art exhibition that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom, like, you know, she took it upon her and she made me draw 3 sketches. Like,
Okay.
one was a circus, one was a forest, one was something else I don't remember.
Okay.
And then
This was in what? First?
yeah, LKG or
LKG, okay.
And then you know, she put it up there, and we were sitting. I mean, we were actually standing there the entire day. Like, people were coming and going, and they couldn't believe their eyes. Like, okay, this was a kid from LKG or maybe UKG who drew it. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So there was this one teacher from our school. She was a English teacher, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but she was a goddamn good artist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to, you know, teach art because it wasn't as good paying, I guess.
Okay.
So she took interest in me and she asked me to, like, you know, come to her for classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I started those classes in first class.
Okay.
I went there for a year non-stop, and a couple of years, like, on and off. Like, I would go for 1 month, skip 3 months, go for 1 month. Yeah, my
Tuition laga.
tuition level, yeah.
Okay.
So like my mom was you know, okay, drawing వచ్చిndi. You know, this guy is doing drawing. Let's put him in music class. Let's put him in dance class.
Oh god, diversify.
Yeah, let's
Diversify his fucking skills.
And I'm telling you, right, the music class fucked me up. It traumatized me. For life.
I've been to music classes to Carnatic music.
Yeah, Carnatic music.
Oh shit, tell me more about it. How did it traumatize you?
Yeah, so I used to live in Shamlal. You know Shamlal, right? Yeah.
Behind
Not here.
Begumpet.
Yeah, Begumpet. Like right beside HPS.
Yeah.
Beside the
What the
petrol
fuck,
pump.
man? Even I lived there.
What?
And then I lived here.
Oh, alright. I lived there for like, you know, a good portion of my life. Like I was born and brought up there like until 6th or 7th class.
See.
Oh. I was there in this apartments called Pearl Apartments.
Oh, I do know Pearl Apartments.
Yeah, I was there like, you know, and there was this one apartments nearby and I would go there for classes, like music classes.
I'll tell you that apartment, bro.
Srivan.
It's the same fucking class. Everybody went there.
Alright.
I lived in this place called Mahalakshmi Apartments. Opposite to that, there's this like 2 towered building. That's the only building with 2 towers in Shamlal area.
Majestic Mansion.
Yeah, Majestic Mansion. Yeah, that's the place, right?
No, not Majestic Mansion. I went, you know, it's on the way to Majestic Mansion.
Okay.
It's called Srivan. I don't remember the name properly. It's called Srivan. Yeah. So I've been there, like, you know, I don't know, like I used to go with my friend. So that guy was a person who would just shout in the class. He was the most enthusiastic person. He wanted to shout out everything, like, whenever. And I was like, you know, more reserved, like in my shell. I just wanted to sing softly and stuff like that. And the teacher, like, you know, she thought like, okay, this guy is, you know, hitting the notes properly. Why not, you know, concentrate on him? And like, you know, she took me to a concert where she was performing. And then all of a sudden she was like, you know, now my student is going to perform. This was in Ravindra Bharati. I mean, like, she taught me one song, like, you know.
It was at that moment.
Yeah.
Rishi knew. He fucked
I was
up.
not up for it, man. Like, fuck, I was scared. Like, I was telling her, like, you know, she was like, you know, you need to start somewhere. You know, this year start, just go.
But that's still fucked up, bro.
Yeah, like,
I would have been like, what the fuck?
maybe she thought it was like, you know, pushing a kid into a pool and he starts swimming by himself or something like that. But no, like, you know, she gave me a paper full of lyrics and stuff. I was singing and like, you know, here was a mic. I was trying to cover my face with the paper because I was getting shit scared. Like, my legs were shivering like this. There was like people all over, like, you know, I don't remember the number of people there.
But Ravindra Bharati is a good audience, man. I can understand.
Yeah, but as a kid, right, everything seems so huge to you. Like, if I go to Pearl Apartments now, it seems like a small 3-story building.
Right.
But as a kid, it used to seem like, you know, it was 100 feet tall or something like that. And yeah, like, there was this another guy, the organizer, I guess, was like, "Arey, paper dinchnu. People have to see your face and shit like
What
that."
a dick.
Yeah. And like, I threw the paper and ran away from there.
I like that.
Yeah, like, I got scared as fuck, man. And like, you know, I didn't go for the classes since then. Like, I didn't go for 2 classes. You know, I was embarrassed as fuck. Then my mom was like, "Do you really want to go there?" I was like, "No, I don't want." Like, yeah, fuck it, don't go.
Then you went into art completely.
No, I was like, I just wanted to play with my friends as a kid.
I think that's what most kids want to do, bro.
Yeah, like, you know, there was instances in my school where my mom wanted to send me to tours and stuff. You know, to Sri Lanka, places like this. But I never went because I wanted to play with my friends. I used to feel like I was missing out on shit if I didn't play with them. Because like, as kids, right, like, you know, if you grew up with them, you know, and I think they were my friends since LKG or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would have this gang kind of shit.
Yeah, gang boys.
Go around in cycles and stuff.
Here too, right?
No, not here. Like, it was only there. Like, after there,
Near Shamlal.
yeah, in Chamner.
Yeah.
After that,
Back then, not much of traffic and shit too.
no, the apartments was actually huge. So we
Okay.
would have a track inside only, like,
Mm-hmm.
and damn, it's getting cold and switch off the AC.
Reduce or off?
I think, is that the temperature?
Yes, the temperature's low.
Yeah. Put it to 22. Yeah, that'll be good. Set.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's how it was.
So when you still didn't get to, when
Drawing.
did you know, get to that understanding that drawing is something you want to really look into as a thing you want to do in your life?
Okay, like, so there was this one instance in 4th class, I guess. So there was this Telugu teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's, just in my school or every other school, but Telugu teachers are always philosophical as fuck.
I don't know. I didn't take that.
Okay. So she was like very philosophical and stuff like that. And then I was speaking to a friend of mine. She was speaking about how, situations might fuck you up in life.
Mm-hmm.
But, you need to have something that will always make you survive no matter
Right.
what. So I was speaking to a friend of mine and I told him, like, if life fucks me up, maybe if I don't have anything, I'll just buy a pencil and a paper and draw someone. Maybe at least I'll earn, like, 100 rupees.
Nice.
Yeah. So then, like, he brought it up in the class. Like, she was like, okay, that's a really good thing and stuff. So whenever we had like small assignments or something like that, she would make me, draw stuff along with it and stuff like that.
Okay.
And in schools we had this charts thing, right?
Right.
So I was the person who was always getting to make charts
Right.
because I always, like, I was the person who was good
Good
at
at
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, there was this phase where I didn't give a fuck about drawing again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, Dragon Ball Z, like, Dragon Ball Z thing happened. Like, I used to draw Dragon Ball Z every day, like, and I didn't have internet back then,
Right.
so I didn't have a reference to look at and draw. So whenever I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, I used to watch it with an intent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to remember Goku's face.
Nice.
I want to remember Vegeta's face, or how their, like, bodies look and stuff like that. So I would go to class, like, whenever I was bored, I would just draw all the time, and it wouldn't look anything like Goku.
But it's still from your memory.
Yeah. Or there would be some cool kid with a Dragon Ball Z pencil box. I would take his pencil box, maybe, like, look at it as a reference, and I would draw or something like that. Then slowly, it started adding to my visual library.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started understanding, okay, like, these are shoulders. You have like 3 parts in the shoulders.
Right.
This is like bicep, this is tricep, and it started getting imprinted into my memory. Like, then again, once I came to 10th class and stuff like that, I stopped giving a fuck about drawing again.
Uh-huh.
Because I used to think that science is shit.
Was that your thinking or other people thinking in your head?
No, like, I was actually fascinated by science.
Okay.
I was going through that atheist phase back then. I was like, all these dumb fucks that believe in God and shit like that. They're just doing shit. Actually, like, I think it has done more good to me than harm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different topic. I'm debating again. So yeah, I was like super into sciences.
Mm-hmm.
So maths, physics, chemistry, biology, like all of these, like, they were the fascination.
Uh-huh.
I used to be a history lover until then, but I don't know, like, something, a switch flipped. Then, I started loving science because I used to think that, science is the way into life.
Right.
Unless backed by science, I wouldn't believe in jack shit. Yeah, I used to be that person.
Right.
And then I believed that, okay, cool. If, I just have like limited periods of science in school right now,
Mm-hmm.
why not go to Narayana where there's infinite, like, MPC is always there. Like, you sit down from morning till night.
That's an unpopular choice.
Yeah, I was a dumb
Very.
fuck. But I think, like, the choice that I took then made me a person that I am now.
Yeah.
So I don't regret it. But, like,
you had to go through Narayana to realize who you were.
I guess. But then, like, once I started Narayana, like, there was this one kid, okay, from Bhavans. So we became friends pretty quick,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a really good artist.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was like my rival and stuff. So we started drawing. Like that guy was into anime, I was into comics and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so I started drawing. That guy started drawing. Like we used to critique each other's work, and I don't know, something happened. Like 3 months in, he shifted in college, and I was stuck there. I was trying to put my all, like understand the thing, but they would go so much advanced. Like it was not required.
Exactly.
If you just stuck to the IP syllabus, it would have been more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
But then, then I lost interest. Organic chemistry came. Like, I don't know.
Oh god, that shit.
Yeah. Then I would just sit in the backbench. Would just keep drawing all the time. Then I started watching anime like Naruto and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
that. It was a phase. Like I used to watch so many anime, like one after the other.
What's your favorite anime apart from DBZ?
I think Naruto.
Nice, I like it too.
There's this other anime called Kapeta. Yeah, not many people have watched it. It's a story about go-karting and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really inspiring story. I think like there are only 2 animes which I've watched and cried until now.
Which one is first? The other one.
The first one has to be Kapeta.
Okay, second one.
Second one is Naruto. Actually, even the third one, like when Dragon Ball Z ended, like GT ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
I realized that there's no more of this shit. Like, I don't think any more Dragon Ball Z is going to
Yeah.
be produced. So one day I was like, shit. Then there was this one post, okay, like, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Like, fuck philosophy.
And it had Goku's picture on it, so.
Okay, I'll buy it.
I was like, wipe my tears and I started smiling.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough.
Yeah, so that, and then I realized that this was not my shit. Like I can't do engineering. This is how engineering is going to be. I can't do it. This is not something I'll enjoy. So I went to my dad like one day. I think he was in VIT.
Mm-hmm.
So he
What's
was
VIT?
VIT,
Okay,
Bangalore
VIT.
Institute of Technology.
Okay.
So he was there, like he was trying to book my seat or something. And then I was going through the catalog, I saw animation in there. I was like, fuck it, I want to do animation. It's not BTech, but it's like, it's a degree. Just a
Right.
degree. So I told him, like, he was like, I won't allow you to do it.
Okay.
Then, he asked me to speak to someone who already was done with engineering. And I told him, like, I don't want to do engineering, I want to do animation and stuff. So he redirected me to a friend of his who was in the animation field.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, he was a person who did engineering and then went to animation.
Okay.
So he asked me to do engineering first because it would serve as a backbone or something like that. Like, I could always fall back to it if nothing worked out. Because animation at that point was just a fascination. Like, I didn't know jack shit.
Right.
If I just took, a blind step, it wouldn't. I have to do my research.
Right.
Risks have to be taken, but it's not like that. Like you have to take calculated risks. You have to think about stuff, not just that. I find it fascinating. I want to do it and just jump into it. It wouldn't make sense. So then I did engineering. I studied out of fear. I passed out of engineering. I told my dad, like, I'm still serious about animation. So that's when he understood, like, this guy's actually serious about making art as a career.
Okay.
So I joined in a local studio where I didn't learn jack shit.
Okay.
Because the teaching wasn't good and stuff like that. So I started drawing again. I bought this tablet, and whatever digital art that you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Started drawing, like, again. That was good. And right now I'm into sculpting.
Sculpting as in legit sculpting with hand or?
Digital sculpting. I did a little sculpting with hand, clay sculpting and stuff. But the thing about mediums is that, right, you need to knead the clay, like, make it soft and shit like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of technical shit involved. Like,
Crafting skills,
not exactly crafting skills, but
molding.
yeah, like maintaining the medium. Like, you know, if
What do you
leave
mean
it,
maintaining the medium?
like if you leave the clay unattended, right, it'll get hardened. So you
Okay.
need to keep sprinkling water onto it and stuff like that. It's like you can't sleep. You need to keep doing it all over. Like the first sculpt, I still remember. Like it was in my friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
Even he bought clay. We both were doing that, and we didn't knead the clay, like make it soft properly. So it started breaking like after doing everything.
Okay.
So I mean, like it's pretty heartbreaking to see your piece just break like that. So then again, like we did it properly, but we had to keep
Spray,
sprinkling water
yeah.
and stuff like that. And we were sweating like it was in summer, but we can't switch on the fan because
That
it will
will
dry.
dry.
Yeah,
Okay.
shit like that. Gets so messy, like the clay goes into your nails and stuff.
Fingernails, yeah.
It's fucking irritating. Like I hate that shit. But again, like I didn't have access to the most premium stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe someday, once I start earning like proper, like a full-time job or something, maybe I'll take it.
Right.
Until then, like just put it aside.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, was Flea Fair your first thing you ever went and put out your stall, or have you done it before?
I've done it before actually.
How many times have you done it?
So Flea Affair was my fourth stall.
Fourth.
Yeah.
How much have you like sold in like each thing or in total?
I think there's no pattern as such, but
In total?
in total I don't remember because I never counted. But
Okay, if you were to give me an approximate.
approximate, I think I can count it now because like the first stall I went to was in it was called the Fun Flea Fair.
Fun Flea Fair.
Yeah, all these names sound like really similar.
Fun Flea Fair. Okay.
Fun Flea Fair. So that was in Hightex.
Okay.
So it was a huge event. Like he promised like 8,000 people turn out or something. like that.
Mhm.
So I was like pretty, I was pumped as fuck because a lot of artists were coming in, like people whom I knew from the artists. They were there, and yeah, I booked this gold stall. I spent like some 7,000 or 8,000 for the stall, which didn't really matter. Like regular stalls were also right beside it.
Okay.
So yeah, like I was there. It was the first. It was my first experience. I think I've sold. I just made break even that day.
Okay.
And
8,000 people వచ్చారా? రాలేదా?
బొంగ వచ్చారు 8,000. 1000 మంది వచ్చారు అంతే.
Oversell.
Oversell. Like there are people like there was this one guy who bought like 3 stalls together. He put them up and he came from Mumbai, and he booked a flight especially for that. స్టాక్ మొత్తం ఒక 1 week ముందే తెప్పించుకున్నాడు అక్కడ పెట్టడానికి. And వాడు వచ్చి was like, dude, this is such a disappointment. I don't even know why the fuck I came here. Shit like that.
Shit bro, big gell కదా?
Yeah, అదే కదా.
Like, how was the second one?
Yeah, the first one was like just break even, but it was a really good experience. Like I met like really good people, and the second one was actually very good. Like in terms of making money, right? I spent only 3,000 rupees. This was like I think with Tree Huggers Club. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, so yeah, I started bargaining for everything. I realized that I couldn't bargain. Like, I realized like that's how moms do their shit. So why not? Like why not try that thing? So I was like, they asked me like if you need an extra bench, it would cost you like 2,000 or something. I bargained it for 500. Like, fuck, okay. I actually have these skills.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it was a really good place. So I sold for again like some 8,000 or something like this.
Nice.
Yeah. So this time it was like I put in money, but the profit was more than the money
Yeah.
that I put in.
It was a good feeling.
Yeah, it was a really good feeling. And it was like how do I tell you? I started gaining this confidence, like maybe I can do this on a regular
Right.
basis. And then I started seeing this like, you know, as a pattern. Maybe I should keep doing this as a source of income. And there was other you know, art fest called Seher. So-
That was the third.
Yeah, that was my third.
Okay.
So that you know, I got a stall there for free. So I was just experimenting, like, you know, they were just aiming for 2,000 people, and I didn't think 2,000 people would actually come.
But they did.
They did actually. Like, I was
Surprised.
yeah. Even I started like, you know, marketing for them. Like, I reached out to people like personally. I started approaching different places like Lama Khan
Nice.
or different acting schools, like, you know, in where's this place near Yusuf Kuda? There, like, lot of
Annapurna Studio.
not Annapurna Studio, but you know Utej, right? There's this
Krishna Nagar Devarada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vadagala, like
Yeah, I understand what
a
you
lot of places like dance schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was working with that team, like, and it actually paid off. Like, shitload of people came, and I was experimenting. Like, I thought, like, you know, a lot of people are coming from my Instagram, so I'm not going to tell anyone until just the day before.
Okay.
And I didn't tell anyone in my personal circle too. And people who just saw shit on my Instagram, those are the people who came.
Okay.
And I made some money, like I think some 2 or 3K. And I just realized, like, you know, maybe the exhibition scene isn't for me. Like, I just thought for some reason, like, everyone was doing the same thing. And I had this, you know, thing from within that I wanted to stand out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I realized, you know, this is not my thing. And that was the time when I started going into sculpting, like, super deep. So, but again, like, for me to sell prints, right, I have to do some 2D drawings.
Alright.
So, you know, just for selling stuff, it felt like, you know, I was forcing myself to do some 2D illustrations.
You weren't enjoying it.
I wasn't enjoying it at that point of time.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know, like, I have a really fluctuating mind. Like, sometimes I enjoy something, sometimes I don't. So it was like that. So, and then COVID happened.
Okay.
I started looking at it like a proper source of income, like, you know, exhibitions and stuff like that. And then COVID happened, and I was clueless, like, you know, all the projects that were there, like, you know, freelancing projects and commission artworks, they were just gone. Like, people started withdrawing, like, you know, we don't have money, we don't want to do it.
Okay.
Then I didn't realize, like, what the fuck is happening. And maybe that was the time where I started, like, you know, doing art for myself and not for money or anything else.
Right.
Then I realized, okay,
Was this with the digital?
yeah, digital or like any medium, like, you know, I just do digital because it's more convenient.
Okay.
I don't have to mix colors and shit like that. Okay, this color didn't actually mix the way I want to, or maybe like I did something, I fucked it up somehow. You know, I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to fix it.
Alright.
In computer, it's like, you know, just control
Less
C.
errors.
Yeah, I can just undo, like, you know, I can go back. You can produce what I want to, like, you know.
Right.
It's
Much
like,
quicker.
yeah, exactly. If you had something in your mind, probably you would tell it out in a language that you are more comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah, it's something like that. Art is just a medium for communicating your inner thoughts, right? If you have something in your mind, you want to just communicate it to people. And I just happened to choose art as a medium. So that was how it was. And yeah, then COVID happened and started doing art for myself. Started doing some art challenges and stuff like that. You know, I realized that, okay, like, this is what I enjoy. Like, you know, why not do it for myself? Then, you know, slowly commissions started coming in as well. But then
As in?
commissions like in you know, projects. Maybe if you want to give me a project to do something, you would you know, you would call it commissioning me for drawing something.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a term in artists.
Okay.
So commission artworks are some things, I mean, artworks that you do for other people, not for yourself. So I think that was the time which actually gave me balance. Like, I started, you know, balancing out stuff, my personal artwork and you know,
Commission art.
commission artwork. So because it's like, you know, once you do it professionally, right, you are subjected to a risk where you don't enjoy doing it anymore.
How do you mean? Like it gets boring, you mean?
Not that it gets boring, but you don't have the thing anymore. Like, okay, like I read a post called art versus design. So when you do it for yourself, right, it's art.
Okay.
But when you do it for other people, it's design.
Right.
So when you do it for other people, right, you don't have the freedom where you can do whatever the fuck you want. Maybe there'll be like a couple of people that actually want you to do whatever you want to. Like there was this one client, okay, who gave me a commission artwork on my first stall, and he took it in 2021.
Okay.
He just gave me like time, like do indefinite time. Like he was like, do it whenever the fuck you want to. So I took shitload of time, and I think I gave the most satisfying output to him so far. But then he was
What
like,
was it? Did you upload it on your Instagram?
no, I didn't. Like he didn't ask. Like he was like, don't upload it anywhere.
Do you have a picture?
I think I do, but let me just see.
Is he okay with showing the picture?
Maybe like
Okay, maybe only to Suraj.
yeah, you can see it, bro. Maybe yeah. Maybe if you really want to watch it, you have to approach me personally.
Yeah, like how Suraj did.
Let me just open Instagram.
Yeah.
I think he might have had it. But again, like, if I look back at it right now, I'll feel like, I've improved like so much more. And it's not something that I would want to showcase now.
Right.
Because as an artist, right, like, you keep losing this, your old work start looking not so good to you.
Yeah.
Wait a second, let me just find
I think I can relate with music like that, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like my recent song is shit. Wow. Wait, is this digital you painted or what?
Yeah, this was made digitally. Like, I drew everything from scratch. So some people think that digital art is like I just press 2-3 buttons and the art comes out of nowhere. But it's just a tablet where I have to draw again from scratch. So yeah.
Wow.
So this is Lord Shiva, and it's
That's
a
a
sunset
beautiful
behind me.
scenery.
Yep. So he wanted to print it and put it on a wall or something to do it.
Very beautiful, dude.
Thank you. So right now, if I look at it,
I mean, it's still pretty good, man. What do you mean pretty good? It's fucking dope.
yeah. Like, I mean, that's there, but
Compared to your present
standards,
Yeah.
it's not really that great.
The recent one is also similar to it. It also has Shiva. The recent one you posted too, right?
Which one? Like, I didn't post anything since a very long time. Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, like,
It's not Shiva though.
no, this is like a picture from a psytrance party.
It looks so dope. The real, bro.
Yeah.
The song and shit. Shit.
So I was in that psytrance phase then.
Oh shit.
I have like a lot of phases. Like, I just keep changing.
But this is dope, dude.
Yeah.
This one and the cat.
The cat, yeah.
That was really cool.
I wanted to make it like really trippy.
You can show this at least.
Yeah, obviously I can.
Yeah. Tilt it and show it them.
Where's the camera? Yeah.
Damn. It's very beautiful, dude. I remember seeing your stories when you were sketching it initially.
I think like, I spent actually like 4 to 5 days on this. Oh, obviously not at a stretch.
But it's still very, very good, dude. I like it.
The most the most satisfying thing with this is that I didn't know how to approach it. Like, had this in my mind.
It
The
just.
it just happened. Like, I was figuring out. I fucked up a couple of times. Then I made it again. And yeah, this is how it came out.
That's dope, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, are you now looking into NFTs?
No.
That is, have you looked into it?
Yeah, I looked into it, like, earlier this year, right? I think in January, like, I was looking into NFTs.
Okay.
I wanted to buy one Ethereum, and back then it was like 70K or something like that, I guess. And then I looked at Ethereum price again in a week, and it was like above 1 lakh. Like, I
Yeah.
got fucked. I was like, I went and told my dad, like, this is how it is. I'm really planning to do something like this. Like, don't do all of this. Like, government is going to ban cryptocurrency.
Nah. It's not.
It's a bubble and shit like that.
Okay.
Then I was
Did
like,
you put in though?
what, Ethereum? I didn't buy one Ethereum. Like, I don't have that kind of money. But like, I started experimenting with cryptocurrency just because I can get into NFTs.
Nice.
But yeah, like, I started putting in money into a lot of cryptocurrencies. Then I don't think I've bought Ethereum until like very late in the game. Like, I put in money into Atom and stuff like that initially.
Okay.
I bought USDT. Like, someone was like, buy USDT. That's a shit and shit like that.
What do you mean it's a shit? It's a constant value.
Yeah, I know. But I, like, I put in 100. I think it was at a peak of 100 rupees or something. I
Okay.
put in money then.
It came down.
It came down. Then I realized, okay, I shouldn't believe in people like blindly.
Yeah, you should. That's why even in the clubhouse, if you were there, I keep telling you this is not any financial advice.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my opinion of the shit.
Then I started watching a lot of videos, like, videos from BitBoy Crypto JRNY, and like, this guy puts up live streams, right, where 4 to 5 people come.
Yeah,
This
like
is-
that podcast around
Yeah.
the blockchain.
Around the blockchain, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started like following everyone who's coming on there.
Dude, that show is actually so informative, man. So informative.
Exactly.
So many perspectives come at you.
You know what? I bought Polkadot after listening to him. Like, initially, like, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a source.
Yeah.
I was just reading like everywhere fundamentals and stuff like that. Yeah. I just drink really water. Yeah.
I bought shit ton of coins after going through their blockchain podcasts.
Yeah.
Atom,
And-
Polkadot. A lot, bro, a lot. Atom, the one he told it's so undervalued. Let's boost it up, guys. Okay, let's go boost it.
I bought one Atom like around for 1,600 something. Then it went to 2,200 or something like
Yeah.
one day. Or 2,400. I don't remember. I still regret not selling it then. But
No.
again, like, what?
Now it's back at 600.
Yeah, right now it's like I wanted to trade stuff, but then overnight I become an investor. Because I was not really good at
That's overnight you became an
Investor,
investor.
yeah.
Nice.
And if you remember, like, Ethereum's peak was there, right?
Yeah.
I bought some Ethereum when it was at the peak, and I thought, like, one day trade, I'll make some money, and I put in money in Ethereum.
Next day market down.
No, in the next 1 hour or something, it went like really down. I think that was when I realized, all this trading shit I can't do. Like, I have to just invest. Believe
Trading, see, dude, I feel like trading requires a lot more skill than investing.
and trading requires you to be on the toes all the time. Like,
Yeah.
looking at the graphs and shit. When I was trading, right, like, I traded Zilliqa. Zilliqa said there's this coin called Zilliqa. So I traded a little bit and I gained some money, but I roughly didn't do jack shit, throughout the time when I was trading.
Okay.
Because I just had to like sit down in front of the laptop, like, analyze all the graphs. And I took up, my junior was also into cryptocurrency, so he took up this technical analysis course.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to me, so my entire attention was like so divided into everything. Like, every day I put up a certain amount of time just to wake up and go through all these crypto videos, and that would like just consume 2 to 3 hours of my day.
Mm-hmm.
And then go through websites like CoinMarketCap and stuff like that, and then do the technical analysis course, and then do what, maybe do meditation or
Nice.
maybe workout.
Seems like a good damn day, man.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, when you have so many tasks, right, your brain starts panicking. Like I have this habit of journaling. Like just write down, like, you know, what all I have to do for the day, and what
Go on. And remember this point, okay?
journaling.
Journaling. We'll come back to this
Sure.
later, okay? Go on.
But you know, I would end up with like 15 to 16 tasks per day,
Mm-hmm.
and like my brain would like always be in a state of panic. Okay, like you're doing this, you're not doing that. You're doing this, you're not doing that. At the same time, I used to do this fellowship for organization called Make It With Friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just get work out of nowhere, like, you know, you have this work to do, and I had to attend to do, and
NGO.
NGO, yeah,
Okay.
and I had to do it, and you know, sometimes it takes up a while, like 1 or 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, 1 or 2 hours is like a lot of time when you have like 16 to 17 tasks, and you know, that was like that, and shit. So I was not at peace of mind. Like I used to you know, grade my days based on my productivity. If I did all those 16 tasks, I would be like, you know, this is a good day, or else I would be like, you know, this is not a good day. What the fuck did I do?
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that, you know, I shouldn't overburden myself so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think after the recent crash, right, you know, cryptocurrency crash, it was like, you know, I just bought some cryptocurrency after the crash again.
If you observe, the channel has not been up since the crash.
Which channel? Bitcoin
Clubhouse.
Oh. No, I'm speaking about the major Bitcoin crash, like the
The
first,
first one. Yeah.
Then I bought, like, you know, I bought a little bit of Cardano. Then it went to all-time high.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm seeing all the patterns.
You exited.
No, I didn't sell. I didn't, like, the thing is, like,
No, why didn't you sell when you saw the damn pattern, man?
no, I just, you know, I was shitting myself. I was just thinking, like, you know, I'm seeing all the patterns, but no, I'm not seeing any patterns. I'm just an amateur. Like.
Oh shit, man. But it's actually a very good, it was honestly a lovely time, man. I had so much fun being involved in that market.
Yeah,
I
like,
haven't opened the app in probably 2 weeks now. I forgot about WazirX completely.
yeah, like I switched off all the
Investor.
notifications. But like, you know, whatever money I put in, right, like, even if I lose it, I don't give a fuck.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you know, I was so, you know, engulfed into the whole crypto thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I would just get like 5,000 rupees or something in my bank balance, I would just put off immediately into cryptocurrency. You know, I didn't mind, you know, having just 500 rupees in my bank balance,
Yeah.
because like I know that like I won't make any shitty choices with my money. Like, you know, just do something just for the sake of it.
I think it's a good move, man. It's like, you know, one, it's a risk, but you know, it's better than sitting in your damn bank.
Yeah, I know, right? So I was just thinking, like, maybe like 5 to 6 years down the lane, one day I'll just open and it's like, you know, shitload
Bro,
of
I'm not
money.
shitting you. I honestly feel, I think people should come back to this video 5 years from today. You know, Rishi Pawan's investment is gonna be whoa.
Let's see about that. One day I open, you know, WazirX or Binance, and Cardano is like $1,000 each coin.
I'll be like, yeah, I'm a millionaire now. Crypto millionaire in the house.
Crypto millionaire.
Dude, there were YouTube videos, man, I used to watch. How many Cardano tokens you've got to buy to become a Cardano millionaire in the future? They were
Oh.
predicting. I mean, there are actual videos about this. I don't
No.
believe them, but
I've done a lot of research. Like, there was this one coin called SXP. I was like betting my ass off. Like, they were, you know, everything was so positive, but just that, you know, it didn't have the clout. No one gave a fuck about it. But you know, if it was really like, you know, it had the fan base like Dogecoin or something like that.
But you know, see, the cryptocurrencies, people are investing for the utility aspect. Doge got the popularity literally because of Musk.
Yeah.
If it was not for Elon, you know,
I mean, if someone gave a shout out to SXP as well, I put in like, you know.
it's not as funny as Doge.
Yep. It's a, what do you call it? It's a token like
What's the utility?
It's a token like Binance token. It's like there's a platform called Swipe.
Okay.
So yeah, it's based on that.
Okay.
So again, like whatever new exchanges come up, right? They always have SXP as a medium for transfer medium. Like, I don't know the word.
I have no clue what
Yeah.
you're talking about. So, honestly speaking, I myself don't have much knowledge on cryptos. But oh, there's a fucking truck right next to us. Anyways, but I think it's a good move, man. Even I forgot about it. 5 years from today, I think both of us are gonna thank ourselves.
For doing this,
Yeah, and forgetting about it and not.
I think I'll lay off crypto. Like even if I get money, right? I don't think I'll put in any money for a while.
For a while, yeah, me too.
Because I realized that I always wanted to get into investing, but crypto was my gateway into investing. So maybe I'll invest into something else. Like there's a friend of mine called Abhilash. So
I know Abhilash.
yeah.
I met him at the same time, Flea Fair.
Oh right, yeah. So that guy is like he does trading and investing and stuff like that. So he told me about a lot of stuff. Maybe like real estate is on my mind. Like if you look at it, right, like the land on earth is the only limited thing. Like, you don't
It's
know.
the most safest asset, like it's going to be there.
It's going to be there and it will go into scarcity for sure.
Right.
For sure. You don't know, like I've heard like theories that gold is actually in abundance, but the government is just regulating its flow so that its value is maintained.
Where
or
did you
something.
hear this theory?
I don't know, like I don't remember. I have a really bad memory, but I've heard someone say that.
I don't know, man. There's so many theories. I don't know what's true, what's not.
I don't know, but land is not scarce. Like there's not a.
We can see it.
Yeah, there's not a hidden island just lying somewhere
Yeah.
where the government is like holding it so that it can sell later on. No, it's not like that, right? Like, I still remember, like when my dad was, I think around 1980s or something. So he had this state fund company or something.
Okay.
And one guy couldn't pay the money. He was like, I have this land in Banjara Hills, open land. I'll give it to you, instead of the money. He was like, I don't want that land.
God damn, man.
Back then, Banjara Hills wasn't there. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't that.
it was only until Panjagutta city. So he was like, fuck it, I don't want it. And it was like, fully hilly area and shit like that. Open land.
Yeah.
I mean, if we took it back then, I don't know, like, I wouldn't be staying here.
We are right in front of us building. Perfect spot to shoot the podcast.
Yep.
Real estate is a really good option, man.
Yeah. So, like, wherever it is, like, I just need some land. And I always had this dream, okay, like, that I need to have a piece of land where I'll just grow whatever the fuck I want to and eat. Like, I don't want to, depend on anyone.
Make me garden.
Yeah, I'll call you guys once I get that land.
We'll be there.
Yeah, and again, like, hire a farmer or two, put their family as well, maybe feed them.
Yeah, that's
They'll exclusively farm only for me and shit like that. So there's a friend of mine who has a farmhouse like that. So like people think farmhouses are like these amazing houses with swimming pools where you can chill, booze and shit like that. But it's just a house in the middle of a farm.
yeah.
And it's like the best farmers I've been to also. Like it's pretty chill and like,
Good vibe.
very good vibe. Like one day we were just chilling there and there were cows. Like those cows just come and chill with you. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so shit like that. And so yeah, like it made me realize that I'll develop a freelance career someday. Just complete freelance, or maybe like have enough money where I don't have to work anymore, and buy a place like that, put up my own farmhouse, and live off of my own produce or something like that.
That's actually a thing, man. Most like I've seen certain real estate projects are growing. They're out in the outskirts. They're developing villas with a self-sustainable vegetable garden.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's like a concept.
I didn't know such a thing exists.
Sustainable development and sustainable future. That's the way, man.
Yeah, like if you look at it, right, the third floor,
Uh-huh.
that's my house, and like you can see shitload of plants.
Yeah. All the spots.
I think my mom took a couple of seeds from me that day.
Oh, she came to the.
She came there, like, you know. She
Awesome.
Took,
I think I have more seeds in the car. I'll give you.
sure, why not?
Before you go, I'll give you.
So she put up a plant, and it's actually like, you know, pretty.
Which one?
I think it was mirchi, I guess.
Mirchi grow. Ochaya produce? Crazy
I
Ochaya.
didn't know.
Nice. Look at that. We got a Make Me Garden testimonial.
I can show you, but like, I think the you know, the tree is blocking. I think it's on the corner, like somewhere. The hugest
Okay.
plant there.
Right.
So
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
so she's into that stuff, like, you know, like she's really into you know, growing plants and stuff. She always has been, like, you know, even before I was born and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she used to have these aesthetic plants as well, but I don't know.
Indoor.
Outdoor, like,
Succulents.
yeah. We used to live in Pearl apartments, right? So we had this outdoor patch where we could just grow plants,
Okay.
and no one would. We used to live in the ground floor,
Okay.
so no one would, you know. There was no objection from anyone
Right.
because we were in the ground floor, and people who were in the first floor and stuff like that, they had balconies and we didn't have. So again, it was like a huge patch, like, you know, as huge as that almost.
Okay.
And we used to grow some stuff, like, yeah. Then she realized, maybe, like, you know, why don't we grow something that we can eat from and stuff like that.
Right.
Then she started doing that, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. Before you go, I'll be giving you. Hopefully, I have more in the trunk. I guess I have around 3 or 4 different seeds. I'll give them to you.
Sure, why not?
Try 'em.
My mom would be really happy.
Okay, so let's come back to that point, journaling.
Yeah.
I stopped you there. You remember, right?
Yeah.
I got this one for. Oh, my bad, bro.
Damn.
I got this one for you.
You got this for me.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks a lot. Looks amazing.
So, like, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I dropped a song called Nobody Knows.
Yeah, I know.
So I just got few journals printed, and you were like the first person in my mind. I didn't know you journaled. I really thought you would sketch. So, you know, I thought this would be a book for sketch. It's all handmade.
Yeah, I know. Like, I can smell the paint.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Never slip, always late, always fit. You know, we legit.
That's a
You
lyric
know,
from the song.
I know, I've heard it, man. People have been doing reels and stuff also.
Yeah.
You know, we always be killing it.
Always.
Always. Yeah, like really awesome. I like how there's, like, you know, the galaxy thing.
Yeah. It's like the theme nobody knows. It's all handmade paper.
I love it, man.
Eco-friendly.
I think I'll do some Pictionary stuff. I'm sorry. Picture journaling or something like
Anything.
that. In this. Oh, this is your rap name, right?
Yeah.
Really amazing.
I also did some art. Do you recognize what that is?
I think I should sell this as an NFT someday.
Whoa, that would actually be dope.
Once you grow famous and stuff.
Yeah.
Rap Locks made it. I'll just show it to the camera.
Awesome, man. But that was really dope when you said journaling, right? I was like, wow. Perfect.
But the thing is, like, you know, I think I don't think I can call it journaling. I think it's more like a to-do list.
Yeah, I mean, even I have a to-do. Like, every day I need to write shit down.
Yeah.
If not, I feel like I'm wasting my
weekly
day.
plans and daily
Yeah.
plans. Stuff like that.
I think that's awesome, man.
I used to do this stuff where I would write down each and every dream that I had, like, as soon as I woke up.
Wow.
and I couldn't stick to it long because like some days you won't actually remember your dream
Yeah.
because you only remember glimpses.
Parts of it.
But sometimes it's like you actually start writing it down and stuff, then you start remembering it. You know, maybe the dreams that I've written down, I still remember them. But you know, that's something that I couldn't stick to.
Right.
Maybe like you know, I can't hold it in a good position right now. Maybe someday when I have a lot of time, maybe I can do it.
Maybe, man.
Maybe.
Maybe nobody knows. That's why I call it a journey through time. Nobody knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, let's end this.
Yeah, sure.
And before we end this, where can they find you
Where
on
can they-
social media? Let's say Instagram.
Okay. My Instagram handle is Rishi Pavan, RSHIPAVAN. So,
I'll drop it in the description. Any other place?
nothing. Like maybe I'll start posting on this platform called ArtStation.
Okay.
I'll put it in my bio, the link. Maybe you guys can see, but it's majorly for artists. So, yeah, maybe like it'll be like my portfolio.
Right.
Yeah,
If you have that link, I can drop it when I'm uploading this too, okay?
sure.
Okay, so be sure to go check out those links in the description and hit him up on Instagram. I'm pretty sure most of your friends are only going to watch this.
I guess.
So thank you so much for watching this podcast, and thank you so much, man,
Yeah.
for coming on it.
It's my pleasure.
Alright, man.